Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. So you're probably wondering, why out of all cars in the game did you pick this car to review? Well, I will explain in a bit. So I've maxed it as far as I can go with all the upgrade parts and import parts, except for the epic ones, which nobody has yet for this car. So why did I choose this car? This is the dual season. I had just gotten to Gold League, and the races were getting a bit boring. So I decided to see what would happen if I went in with the second worst C-Class car and see what would happen when I faced a bunch of B-Class cars. In this video are 7 sequential races that I had in this car against, I think, all B-Class cars, a lot of which were a lot better than my car, such as the Asterion up there. We also got some F12 TDFs. It was really fun, and I'm very glad I decided to record these. And I'm sure you guys will enjoy these races as well, because there are some quite close and intense ones. So this car can go 175 miles per hour. It's basically like the Lotus Elise, except it's in Class C. And here I'm managing to pass this Asterion, who is actually maxed out. You can probably tell that I'm trying to stop from laughing right now, because this was actually the first race that I played in the season with the ZL1, and I had no idea that I'd even be able to come close to competing with a car like the Asterion. And I passed them again around the final turn, go up this ramp, and come in first place. Seriously guys, if you're bored this season, just go in with this car or some other not so great car and see what happens. He was a nearly maxed Asterion. For our next race, we have an Exotic Rides W70, which is not exactly as good as the Asterion, but still a good 35 or so miles per hour faster than me, and accelerates just as fast, and well, I have better drifting acceleration and nitro efficiency, so that will come into play. Now, why in the world am I able to do so well against these cars in this car? I'm not entirely sure why. I think one reason is because it's just so easy to drive, and these other cars, while they may be better and be able to get many seconds better lap times on pretty much all tracks, in multiplayer, well, you can't just try the same thing over and over, because in an event with this car only, you'd probably be able to get a super good time, like almost right away. We'd have to try many times in other cars. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. For example, in C-Class, the 2 cars above this one on the best and worst cars list were the Lotus Evora and the BMW Homage. Those cars can beat this car in pretty much all tracks by 1 or 2 seconds. However, I probably would not do as well in multiplayer in those cars as I am with this one, because this thing is just more reliable. Generally speaking, those cars that have really good handling, acceleration, and nitro efficiency may be more reliable in multiplayer than ones with super high top speed. Now, of course, the ones with super high top speed, if driven by very skillful players, can come in first a whole lot of the time, but the ones that are easier to drive, you may have less chance of making a mistake in, so that best and worst cars in each class may not necessarily apply to multiplayer, at least not as strictly as it may apply to events. So in that race, we beat the W70, now we have an F12 TDF, which I believe is the 3rd or 4th best B-Class car. Now, this guy was definitely not super high in stars, he was at 2300 rank or something, but still that car is a whole lot faster than mine. You've got to remember, throughout this video, this ZL1 goes 175 miles per hour, maximum. The cars I'm facing all go well above 200. But one reason I'm actually able to stay ahead a lot of the time is because I can stay at this 175 miles per hour pretty much all the time, because you guys can see just how good of handling, drifting, and nitro efficiency this car has. Now, see, that car, F12 TDF, caught up to me in the air because he has better top speed, but then around the turn, he lost speed and thus got behind. This is what often happens if you go into a race with a slower car that has really good acceleration and nitro efficiency. The faster ones will often catch up to you on jumps and straightaways and stuff, and then around the turns you may get away from them. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is this dual season has only 1-lap races. If there were 2-lap races, I would probably not be doing as well with this car, so that's something else to keep in mind. And since I am fairly low in rating, and since everybody in the season gains rating until you get to Platinum League, yes, it really is that way, even if you come in second, you still gain rating in Gold and before, that may be a reason why I'm able to be doing so well, because the people I'm facing may not be especially great players. But needless to say, this car is still doing pretty well against those faster cars that I would really have not expected to beat in such a thing. So we beat this F12 TDF here, but in the next race we face another F12 TDF who is at an even higher rank. So this F12 TDF is above 2500 rank, and I'm still below 2000. And he's probably a good 40 miles per hour, at least faster than I am. However, this is one of the San Francisco tracks that was added in the first worldwide update to the game, I believe, and so I knew that I might have a bit of an advantage in the fact that, well, he may not know the track as well. I've played on this track quite a bit. And this track requires good handling, which the F12 TDF doesn't really have. It has good everything else, but the handling is a bit lacking. So I was able to get ahead of him around the first turns and pretty much get to the point where he was not even on the map. However, I was not sure how long quite this was going to stay. Let me know down in the comments below, guys, how do you feel about the dual season? Well, it is pretty cool to have a completely different sort of season with completely different UI upon joining and stuff like that. It does get a bit boring after a while, especially when you don't go up more than, 5 rating per race or something. Now, that said, Platinum League is 1200 and Legend League is 1400, so it's not like you have to go up to 2000 or anything. But still, I think they could have made the rating gains a bit higher. However, you do also have to keep in mind that you can use pretty much every single car in the game in the season. So that is one plus. You can just keep playing and playing and playing, assuming you have a lot of time, which I don't exactly. So we managed to beat this other F12 TDF, and in this race we're facing an Exotic Rides W70. Now, this was only a 1-star W70. He's still a lot faster than me, about 30 miles per hour. But the fact that these cars that I'm facing have so low stars compared to what I'd usually face in the seasons makes me think that they're really not quite as skilled of players as I usually would face. And this probably has to do with more than just my fairly low rating, but also because, well, simply I'm only facing one person per race rather than 7 people, or at least up to 7, as I would normally. Because in those 8-player races, you've got 7 other people to race against every time rather than just one, meaning that there's a much greater chance that the people you'll face, at least some of them, will be close to your skill level, which makes you kind of forget about those ones that do not do so well in those races, and you usually only tend to remember those ones that came in first, second, and third, you know? But in the dual season, it's a lot easier to remember each specific person because, well, you're only facing one person per race. I hope you guys know what I mean. That's just sort of how I feel about the season and why things are happening the way they are. Yeah. However it is, I've had a lot of fun with this car so far, and I hope you guys have had a lot of fun watching these races. And this W70 catches up to me pretty close near the end of the race because of that long straight section, but I do manage to come in first. And you know what? I just thought of something. So there's 7 races in this video, and I'm usually facing 7 players in each race. So what if we think about the people I face in each race as being those 7 people that I might face in a normal race? We've got those W70s that are pretty low ranked. We've got those F12 TDFs who actually did very well. We've got the Styrion in the first race who might have been the guy to come in 3rd place, for example, and I came in 2nd. And then we've got this Styrion, which is the guy in the race who just does extremely well and is extremely skilled and has the extremely good car. This video is like an allegory of each race in a normal season. We are going deep in this video. So yeah, this Styrion drove extremely well throughout the race, and his 40 plus miles per hour on my car definitely came into play, as you can see here, and he just kept rocketing further and further and further ahead. One thing I forgot to mention earlier in the video is that this season is actually an unbreakable season, meaning that your duels can be truly skill-based and not have people knock you down at the beginning through a 360 or whatever and thus get a cheap win. That is one thing I'm very glad they did about it. Now, this season is also open season, meaning that we can use pretty much any car. If there are any other specific cars you guys would like to see me use, maybe that I haven't done yet and that might not be usable in many other seasons, let me know. Obviously, I can only make so many videos, so I'm not promising that I'll get to them. I'm just wondering if you guys have any ideas. So that Styrion finished quite far ahead of us in that race. He had a very much faster car than us and certainly knew how to use it. But I was not done yet. After watching a few ads to get this car back up to full fuel, I decided to try once more. This time we come up against another Styrion, this time on San Francisco. Now this race does not go so great for me at the beginning. He pushes me to the side right there, and then he gets further ahead while I drift through here. I was wondering why he wasn't drifting, so then I shockwaved up past him and went really high on the ramp, and he still managed to get further ahead, and then that happened, and yeah, thankfully this car's shockwave was very long lasting, because in a lot of other cars that would have slowed me down a whole lot. Now of course this car is just slow to begin with, but you get what I mean. Anyway, we keep better speed than him around the corners, then go up this ramp, hit him in the air, thankfully don't get knocked down nor wreck upon landing, and we're back into first place. Well, into first place. We weren't exactly first place anytime to begin with. Now it's time for my general review about this car. If if it's in an event or something along with other C-Class cars and is time-based, it wouldn't be very good. It's the second worst in terms of lap time in Class C. However, as you can see, it's not especially bad in multiplayer because it is quite reliable, at least in terms of not wrecking and not having problems. Very easy to drive, doesn't seem to be glitchy at all. So yeah, if you want to use this car, perhaps try it out in this season, and you might be surprised. Obviously in Platinum League, I doubt it would do very good, but if you're in Gold or lower leagues, you definitely should try it out. And we come in ahead of this Asterion. Thank you all for watching, please like the video if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye!